Well, today we are delighted to present an exclusive interview with one of the world's most acclaimed authors, playwrights and biographers who's documented the lives of Elton John, the Rolling Stones, Buddy Holly and the Beatles, amongst others. In fact, he knows the Fab Four better than anyone, having also written books on John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and now the man he describes as the reluctant Beatle, George Harrison. I sat down with rock biographer Philip Norman.
Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun.
Mr. Norman, it's a great honour and pleasure to talk to you, sir. I'm a big fan of your work, and congratulations on everything you've done. What is it about the Beatles that you love so much?
Well, I originally just wrote a biography of the Beatles. I thought, that's it, I move on. But I'm like Michael Corleone from Godfather 3. I think I'm out and they pull me back in again. I did think that I should have a look at George, and what I found was really so bizarre and complicated, much more so than I'd ever thought he could be. Let's start with the title. You call him the reluctant Beatle. Take that a bit further, please. Well, he wasn't a reluctant musician at all. He taught himself the guitar at the age of 14, well enough to be in a group with John Lennon and Paul McCartney, who were older. What he hated was the screaming of the Beatlemania era. He was also very much overshadowed by John and Paul in the recording studio in particular, when they would have 11 out of the 12 tracks on a Beatles album, he would have just one. He was always under the shadow of the other two because of the magnitude of their talent as songwriters and the power of their personalities, I suspect, yeah? Exactly, and in fact they wrote songs with extraordinary ease. It just came so easily to them. It didn't come easy to George at all, to quote in the future a Ringo song that George helped write. But he, just by dogged persistence, he won through in the end. But he wrote some of the Beatles' all-time classics. He wrote Here Comes the Sun, he wrote While My Guitar Gently Weeps. And Something, let's not forget that, goodness me. Something, which I suppose is his masterpiece.
Something in the way she moves attracts me like no other lover.
Those little lines of George's were just perfect, weren't they?
Well, what he did was he came up with the licks and he came up with the riffs, which are much part of those Beatle classics as the vocals. And they're in your mind's memory forever and ever. And George himself did not think he was that. He said he was just an okay guitarist, whereas people like Clapton and the members of the band all respected him much more than did his fellow Beatles.
Let's talk about Clapton.
Well, yes, George was married to a very lovely fashion model called Pattie Boyd, and Eric Clapton, who was George's best friend, supposedly, fell hopelessly in love with Pattie and then wrote a song called Layla, which was kind of declaration of his love. And she put up with an awful lot from George, who could be very horrible when he wanted. What was so strange was that these two alpha males, these two alpha rock star males, six-string heroes called them, they somehow after that became even closer friends. And Pattie kind of felt rather pushed to the sidelines. The weirdest love triangle in rock actually gave way in the end to George and Eric's being mates.
Wonderful story, sir, wonderful insight, and you're a brilliant writer. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's gonna take a time.
Just talk to him all day. In fact, after the break... No, just kidding. You're going to have to read the book. George Harrison, The Reluctant Beatle, is out now.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my God, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?
Always happens.